Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is World Performing Arts and Cultures for Social Change. Top 10 Things I Learned as a Pilot. This is Francis Tanglao Aguas of the Department of Theater, Speech, and Dance in the program of Africana Studies. To set us up, I taught a first-year seminar, 16 students, meeting Monday, Wednesday, Friday in 50-minute class sessions. So I did have first-year students. To begin, my pedagogy and methodology of teaching. I am student-centered and project-oriented, based on Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed and Augusto Boal's Theater of the Oppressed. My teaching is multidisciplinary. For me, the performing arts include singing, dancing, art installations, performance art, chanting, digital interactive art, and even t-shirt wearing campaigns. Student projects were all based on student experience, interest, and passion. I have top 5 things I knew beforehand that excited me about the call and that I wanted to implement or attempt. The first, one big question or idea to explore over 15 weeks. The way I designed the course, I asked one question that we problematize for 15 weeks that we seek to prove through our performance. Can the performing arts truly incite social change? It excited me to be able to attempt to teach theory, praxis, and analysis in one term, so that first-year students might be able to attempt it in case they wanted to move forward to the next part of the course in performing for social justice. So there is an upper-level course that follows this course, and it is called Sex and Race in Plays and Films, Dramatizing Diversity. The second thing I knew before was the immediate centrality of interdisciplinarity and creativity was exciting to me. I work in the performing arts, live or recorded digitally or on VHS or film, so the oral communications component and technology aspect of the Call 100 worked to my advantage. Working under the rubric of the Call 100 allowed students to immediately contextualize their university experience with interdisciplinarity, the arts, and humanities as the central point of view. I was also excited to design a first-year class that was friendly to Paulo Freire. Again, back to my pedagogical training in Pedagogy of the Oppressed, where students are the center, where their experience and their participation and their interest predicates the rest of the course, so that as teacher, I had to be willing to adjust the syllabus depending on student interest, because the entire thesis of the course was already founded on the one fundamental question that I had the agency to decide upon. Can the performing arts truly incite social change? The other theoretical construct of this, of course, is based on Augusto Boal's Theater of the Oppressed, Theater de Opprimitivo, which is inspired by Paulo Freire. I also wanted to explore digital terrain. By this I mean I wanted to use the opportunity to start using more technology in my teaching by innovating based on the needs of the course as it developed. For instance, when it was clear that 3 hours was not sufficient time for the course, I used QuickTime to video or audio record course material and assignment directions. Further, when I also realized that students were more inclined to pursue music projects or pop culture projects, I designed Sing-Along for Social Change utilizing YouTube video with lyrics to allow students to sing collectively as a choir. So we got them to perform using YouTube. The fifth thing I also knew is that, as in my teaching, here we are always assessed. So I wanted to make sure that I remembered to allow the students to assess themselves and assess the course in a formal way. So I call this giving the pie back to students, so that I want them to examine whether we collectively have succeeded and where we might need improvement or adjustments to attain our objectives. Now, the top 5 reflections I had as a pilot. I constantly had to remind myself to think about my material over the method, to think about the discipline over the rubric. This, of course, is easier said than done. Even when I constantly reminded myself that this should be the case, the directives of the Call 100 were always looming, or specifically the institutional assessment. So I also had to remind myself often to listen to my art or my disciplines each time I found myself working with the rubrics as the objectives. So I think this is just one of those things that I focused on. The next, the bias of written work over oral work. As out of the box as I am, this experience further illustrated to me how dependent I am on the written work, which is certainly unavoidable. Thus, in this case, the looming rubric of the Call 100 actually served me well in giving credence to oral communication as a valid and central skill students need to learn. As an example of this discovery of this bias, it wasn't until the third performance review of a third William and Mary show that I finally realized that students were writing too much, so that I emailed them and said, look, there's another change to the syllabus. This time around for the show, if you are willing, right, because it's a change, if you are willing, go ahead and video record yourself discussing the merits and analysis of this performance. So we enacted this change. Again, that is very Freirean in its pedagogy and methodology. Third, is 4 hours even enough? Of course, again, here, I can always adjust the content for the future, right? I can adjust the assignments, I can calibrate. But the key thing here is the next one. A third of this course is based on oral communication. And in my discovery, even instructions and directions, it would be beneficial if they were orally discussed, right? Face-to-face communication, basically. So that, again, that is more time. When I say is 4 hours enough, I'm not necessarily saying about even the course content, but even just the methodology of oral face-to-face communication in itself takes time. And I think that is certainly valuable, but I could certainly have used the extra hour. And finally, with special thanks to Kathleen De Laurenti of SWEM for giving us our digital literacy workshop, which I then followed up with discussions in class as to ascertaining bibliography and sources and all that. My concern is that if this is the only source of fulfilling digital literacy, perhaps I'm not ready to accept that responsibility fully, and I wonder if there are other faculty who would feel the same. But in the end, there are wonderful rewards. There is a blog. It's called Under Construction, a Social for Change.blogspot.com that has the 15 projects that students did, and they video recorded themselves, and it's been nicely edited so that on the left column you see the individual projects, and you click on it and you'll get to watch the performance that they did, and you'll also get to read the abstract of their project. So all in all, to conclude, it was definitely a worthwhile experience. Was it time consuming? Yes. However, generally when teaching first year seminars or first year courses, it's always time consuming, but I believe it is time well spent. Doing this pilot was certainly beneficial, and I now know the adjustments that I need to make. I will have to balance, freedom with instructions, but that all depends also on the experiences of the students. So in that case, I think relying on the pedagogy really was very crucial in making this work. The big question, though, is I don't think I can make this work for 25 students. So with this setup, I'm pretty sure I can make it work for 15 students. 16 students would be above, and 20 to 25, I think, might be problematic. Thank you very much.